Hey everybody, one other episode of First Look. This is a sort of like next step episode for the series I'm doing on Heavy Duty, a game I'm working on in conjunction with Death Ray Designs for their very cool Solar Shift mech-like miniatures, and that Austin is designing more stuff for right now. So if you haven't caught this series before, this is kind of an ongoing, I probably try to do it per game like once a month, where you can catch up in the design process. I talk a little bit about how I design games, how I playtest games, and you get to sit in on one of my playtesting sessions. So if you haven't watched the first look for Heavy Duty, God, Ash, try and write these things better so when you speak out loud. You can go up here in the cards and check it out, and it'll walk you through the core mechanics of the game. Not too much core mechanic wise has changed. That first episode, that was the very first, like, does this work kind of putting it on the table after a few like dry runs. The playtesting we've done since then, we've noticed a few things. We like the core mechanics, just sort of like the operating system of the game, but it's about how do you refine it so that it feels right. So not too much has changed. The buying increase for weapon systems we felt was really good, so tweaking a few weapon costs happened here and there. The biggest thing was that it felt like activation control was more important than the size of your HEVs, your frames in mechs. So one of the things we looked at was the difference between an ultra heavy one and a light one. And the light one being able to carry just simply more individual instances of weapons and being able to maneuver to like the optimal position felt really powerful. So the thing we introduced in this iteration, which is new for November 2021, is the difference in structure between a light and a heavy HEV, which is that the lights have a more brittle structure, so whenever they take a point of structure damage, on a 4+, their systems might take an additional point of damage because they have light, non-redundant systems, not as many backups and stuff. And the inverse is true for an ultra heavy. So an ultra heavy, every time it takes a point of damage to a structure, it rolls the dice, and on a 4+, it just ignores the damage. Because it has so many backups, and its just internal structure is so big, it's really hard to actually finish it off. So armor stays the same. You don't ever shrug armor damage. And the idea here is that the external, like, non-smart plating on these machines is always going to kind of, if it has like a special effect, like if it's like reactive or ceramic or something like that, that's applied all the time. But once that armor's blown off and gone, it's actually about how does the internal, like, robustness of the machine keep it operating and fighting and stuff like that. And so that kind of added a bit of value to the ultra heavy, which it didn't feel like it had, versus its cost and its weapon systems, and made the lights a little bit more of a glass cannon. So you can still take a swarm of lights and get a lot of control and stuff like that, but there's a good chance that if one of them, like especially if AP weapons that just drill right into your internal structure, you hit in the wrong spot, they can just keel over and die. Because they only have 4 structure to start with, and you can reinforce them once to 6. So this was the big sort of like core mechanic change to the game that flips through this one. Other minor things, some weapons that felt like they should be kinetic got kinetic. The kinetic rule in general was reduced from a 90-degree turn to a 45, just because I love that visual in mech combat things where you see them getting hit by something and they kind of stumble and then they fall over. So like that 1-2 of like you get hit by some like huge like autocannon and you see it sort of like take a step back and then while it's off kilter get hit again and fall over, felt more appropriate to when there's multiple kinetic weapons and weapon like on a mech. So that got changed a little bit, clarifying where like the point of origin for kinetic came from. Just some like wording stuff got changed. And I think that's really it. So we're going to jump up to 150 tons this time around. So I played 100 tons, which is the small skirmish game size. This is the like a strike, an actual like battle. This would be the standard game size for the game, which ups the quantity of like mechs on the table. So the yellow team here, I don't know what we're going to call them, the Hornets, the Mustard Brigade, Colonel Mustard and the Mustard team. They have 5 HEVs on the board this time. 2 lights and 2 mediums and a heavy, so kind of a good balanced mixed force. That's about, a squad of 5 is about what you can expect if you're taking kind of some of everything. Whereas there's an ultra heavy and 2 heavies. I wanted to try and test out these SKUs for the red team, the red meanies, I don't know, the red devils, whatever you want to call them. Colonel Scarlet and her like mech brigade, and we get to see that actually in action. So the idea here, I get to show you a test of those sort of like core mechanic shifts. Obviously there's always lots of writing going on my laptop here, and you guys will come along for the ride. So let's jump in. I've already made my forces. If you had questions about how it works exactly the same as it did in the previous video. So again, you can check out the first look. God, Ash. think about these things when you develop titles. You're going to say the word first a lot in this, so just, I don't know what would have been better. But we'll show you the forces I constructed for this, and we'll get this underway. These are two forces ready to rock and roll. They've both been mustered. So Red Commander has an ultra heavy mech with 2 autocannons, a submunition, which gives sort of like the little belly guns there, heavy reactor, optic camo, because why not, ECM ceramic plating, and target designator. So optic camo basically just means instead of saving on a 6, it saves on a 5. Over 12 inches away. And then heavy, the first heavy has, it's reinforced its structure as well to 12, because I wanted to see the impact of that with the new structure rules. 2 autocannons, which is 5 dice kinetic, each a missile system there on the other arm, and then a heavy reactor, ablative armor, and electronic countermeasures for the missile attacks. The second heavy has 2 autocannons, a railgun on this arm over here, which also has gained kinetic now, and a heavy reactor. And then my light has 2 particle cannons, a missile system, and then the jump jets, so it can kind of get around. Then the yellow team here, we have a heavy. It has a reinforcement on its structure as well, up to 10, and then 2 particle cannons and 2 rotary cannons. Just a pure brawler. I went with like a long-range fire support and a close-range force here to see if the aggressiveness would pay off. We have a second heavy, or sorry, a medium here rather, with a melee weapon system. You can see actually it's like a punchy arm. It has double shot cannons and a howitzer for some kinetic blast. It also gained kinetic, so it doesn't do a ton of dice, but the fact that it has a 3-inch kinetic where it spins people away is super useful, disrupting the enemy. Medium with a melee weapon, and then 2 shot cannons. You can see again, this cool medium. 2 shot cannons, a rotary cannon, and that's it. And then no reinforcements on either of these, and then a light with autocannon, optic camo, target designator, and submunitions. Another light with a melee weapon, 2 shot cannons, jump jets, and a target designator. So both target designators will be running the mass driver these guys have up in the air. It's limited 3, kinetic 6, and it's been clarified that when you take the kinetic spin from getting hit by the mass driver, the center of that commander's deployment edge is the direction you spin away from. All right, so rolling for the approach, you can select one of the following, and we've played with the lateral before. So let's do direct. Basically, force to deploy 3 inches to the opposing board edges, support assets deploy within 8 of the commander's deployment edge, if you had any. Our mission objective, so rolling another d6, it's 2, which is going to be security. At the end of each turn, calculate the tonnage of units in each quarter of the mission area. The commander with the most tonnage in the area controls it. The commander controls the most quarters in the mission area gains 1 VP. Put down our 8 terrain pieces. You can see I've done kind of like a ice moon here. So some large blocking stuff. So we had at least a third of it be, or sorry, at least 2/3 of it be blocking, and then some light stuff in the forests here as well. Rolling off, yellow team gets a little potato, gets a 2, and then red team gets a 5. So red team gets to pick side, and then yellow team will deploy opposite, and we go back and forth deploying models. All right, we're deployed. We got our heavy, ultra heavy, double gun, railgun heavy, and then the light on the flank for team red. Team yellow, the 2 lights taking the flank, the melee punchy light, and the runaway and hide optic camo light over here. Howitzers going up the middle, and then the other 2 mechs, we have the heavy and the medium, sort of like trying to flank behind this big piece of terrain. Rolling off, team red and team yellow. The team yellow gains the lead and gets the first order. Keeping it simple, we're going to start with a light here. They are going to move up 10. 12, because it's a light actually, 2 more extra inches, and then make a jump order. Not going the whole distance, but firing its way behind here, so it's out of line of fire of both this light for its target lock and this heavy. It means this light is activated. So back to the red team. The ultra heavy is just going to get right down to business, taking a move action, getting itself into cover, and then engaging against this medium over here. So with the obscuring terrain in the way, blocking part of its line of sight, it is -1 to its dice pool. So normally rolling 6 dice with its autocannon, it's going to be only rolling 5. So that's the dice pool. And this is a medium mech, so it's going to be evading all of this on a 4+. So it cancels 2 points of damage, and its armor will take 3. That is this guy right here with the howitzer. So armor goes down by 3, goes to 5. With the kinetic rule, he can turn it 45 degrees away, so pivoting like so. All right, putting the side arc in, but the second one fires. 6 dice pool again, dropping down to 5 for the obscuring terrain. Ooh, managed to evade 3 this time. Takes 2 more points of damage, but gets spun. Its armor is reduced to 3. It's the Ultra Heavy done. Its submunition's not in range, so it's back to the yellow team. 4 mediums feeling exposed, so it is going to make its full move 8 inches. Gotta want to fire that Ultra Heavy in case it decides to redline. And then fires its howitzer over into him. This one for the blocking terrain, so a howitzer on a medium is going to be 3 dice blast, so no further targets in 3. But it has to make 3 evades. So goes to 2 because of the obscuring terrain. So it's a heavy, so it's -1 of these rolls on 5. Managed to evade 1, but takes a point of damage. Loses a point of armor down to 9. And gets spun away. And will get spun like so. And he's now activated. Without a target, this heavy is going to take a walk. It's 8 inches. So it can start to put fire over on the other side. It's got an obscuring terrain in the way, so firing into this medium. First autocannon, a heavy autocannon throws 5 dice, obscuring down to 4, so he'll have to make 4 saves. He's a medium, so saving on a 4+. Saves 2, and that drops his armor down to 6. He gets spun 45. He'll get spun this way. Put him in the side arc, so he makes a second attack with the autocannon, second weapon system. Dodges 3 of them this time, but does take a point of damage and gets spun again. His armor down to 5. And that means the railgun gets a flank shot, so it does get to make the shot. It's +1, -1, however, for being through the trees. So does he evade it on a 4+? He does. Railgun misses. Making through and getting extra armor damage. The other light's enjoying the exposed nature of the shot over here. So gonna go 8, and then 4 more with his autocannon. Let's roll 2 dice with his autocannon, 3 for the flank shot though, and he's in the open. So this heavy needs to make saves on 5s. Doesn't make a single one, and loses 3 armor down to 6, and gets spun again. Only submunition on him, so no secondaries in range, and he's all done. It feels like quite enough of that. This heavy's going to stomp forward, not wanting to be shot in the flank again, and get this guy exposed. Autocannon shots into this medium. So that's going to be, he's a heavy, 5 dice. He's in the open, but no flank or side shots. Nothing obscuring. Although this piece of terrain actually probably, now you can see both sides because it's closest point to both sides. So he's going to roll 5 dice, trying to evade on 4s. He evades 3, but takes some damage and gets spun. Damage on the howitzer one, which is over here. Oh, his armor's almost gone. The autocannon fires again. Same roll to evade. Oh, he only cancels 1 this time. So he'll get spun. He'll take 4 damage. That's going to almost completely strips off this and gets 3 points of his structure. And that halves his structure, which means he is crippled. All of his move and jump orders are -1 inch, moving and jumping now, and all the damage ratings on its weapons are reduced by 1 to a minimum of 1. He's all finished. Very close to taps out the red team, so that makes it safe for this heavy to come stomping forward 8. To fire the particle cannons, because they shoot 18. Just out of range. So no secondary action. Then I guess he could lock on. And then this guy will... Oh, sorry, that's the red team again. So 12-inch move with this light. Can he get in the line of fire of anybody? Probably not, but he does have jump jets for next turn. So he's going to go 12. And then use his jump jets to get placed within 10. He's going to get placed up here. A commanding view with his target lock. It's just this medium remaining. He needs to try and maintain some access to this quarter, so he's going to go his 8, 10. Try and hide behind this tree. All models have an activation token. No chance to redline for the red team. They haven't lost a mech yet, so activations come off. And it's round scoring. Both sides are drawn, as they both have higher tonnage. This light and this light holding this quarter. This medium and this medium holding this one. The heavies and the lights holding it on this side. So no scoring on turn 1. We're into turn 2. Initiative roll. Looks like the yellow team's going first. Well, this heavy is exposed, and so is that light. I think it's time to just stomp forward with this heavy and start taking names. So he gets to walk 8. That's right, not 6. He's not ultra heavy. And that should put every gun in range. Just gonna start blasting. Now, this is what happens when you upgun. I went for maximum dice here. So he's got 1, 2, 3 two particle cannons that are 6 dice each in the open. So let's see what happens. He's a heavy, so I think he's gonna return fire. which means after he has to reroll ones, but he has to activate next. So saving on 5s, rerolling ones. Good thing he rerolls ones. He manages to dump 3 of them, but takes 3 damage. Hands aren't light, but this will put a red line token on him because they're draining, so he can't fire again later. So he'll take 3. Have 3 armor remaining. The second particle cannon fires, same thing. He's returning fire, so he gets to reroll his ones here. Oh, it takes 5 more. So totally strips his armor and drops his structure down to 6. Heavy rotary cannons, 2 of them. This guy just throws bullets like crazy. So the rotary cannons are going to be throwing for a heavy 11 dice. So he has to make 11 saves. Oh my god. So that's going to be 9, 10, 11. Saving on 5s because he's a heavy. You're rolling ones. So he saves 5 of them. So 6. Now it's light though, remember, so it only does 1 damage for every 2 successes, and that means he'll take 3 damage. Down to 3. He's still in it. The last rotary cannon goes again. This is all he's got here. Blam! Rerolls the 1. Oh, I think he lived. That's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 saves. So half rounding down this is 2 points. He has 1 point of structure remaining. I survived that absolute wall of bullets that this thing puts out, and he gets to fire back immediately. If he'd not moved yet, this would have interrupted the order, but it just returns fire right now, and then the red team actually gets to operate a second model. Now he is -1 though from all the damage he's taken to all of his shots here. So the first autocannon is only going to be rolling 4 dice. Saving on 5s. He can't return fire because he's activated. So 2. So that's going to be 2 damage. Armor stripped down to 3. And he gets pivoted. And we're going to pivot him this way. Not quite in side arc. He does it again with a second autocannon. And he saves 1. So he takes 3 more. That strips his armor completely. And he gets pivoted fully sideways. And then he unleashes his missile barrage. Missile's normally down to 4 though, because of his damage. He's taken so much critical damage. He's at 1 structure left. He saves 1 and takes 3 more structure. So this heavy goes down to the heavy. He's taken 3, 6. He hasn't taken any actually right now. He took 3. He took 3. So he should have 6 left. It's this guy. He's down to 6. He hadn't actually been damaged yet. I grabbed the wrong die. He saved down to 3 left. And this guy is a smoking ruin, but he managed to return a ton of fire. I'm gonna allow this guy to go and lock up 6 into the middle of everything and be like, well, hello, rear arc of this guy. And because he returned fire, he activates out of order, and the red team gets to activate another one. Welcome to ultra heavy autocannons in the open in the rear. So 8 dice for this heavy, saving on 5s because it's a heavy. It saves 2 and takes 6. Which obliterates the rest of its armor and drops its structure down to 7. Now this thing is heavy, not ultra heavy, so it doesn't have the special save. And then is kinetic, so he fully spins it around, and then fires again. And just does the remaining 8 damage. It had 7 left. And just totally nukes it. So almost finished off a heavy, but lost a heavy in return. I think this little guy's gonna go, and he's gonna operate Death from Above, jumping into the rear with his jump jets 10 inches per place, and then make a smash attack. He's rating a 3 because he's a light. He has a melee weapon for +1, and he made a jump order, which gives him 2 extra, because he's basically landing on top of this guy. He is 2 sizes greater than the light, so normally against shooting he saves on a 5. He actually saves on a 3+ against a smash attack, because lights struggle to hurt big guys. But he doesn't make them all, loses his last 2 structure, and gets crumped from behind and destroyed. Worth the trade, and we got to see a smash attack, Death from Above. Oh, red team gets to go again, and I think this heavy decides to engage. Well, now, unfortunately, we've lost this table quarter, and probably not actually. The ultra heavy is way more tons than that light, so maybe they haven't lost it just yet. But this heavy's going to move forward, try and seize the next one, going his 8, get over the line, and just go hard into the medium here. This autocannon in the open, maneuvered into the open for that medium, so he'll be saving on 4s. Ooh, he saves 3 of them, but gets spun, 45. Take 2 damage. That is it's howitzer? No, it's rotary cannon medium, which is this guy. So he'll take 2 and go down to 4 left. The second autocannon on the heavy fires, 5 dice. Oh, only saves 1 this time. gets spun again, remainder of its armor, and then the railgun gets to go with 2 dice. And those 2 dice, it saves on 4s, because it gets +1 bonus dice for the flank. Oh, fills them both. Takes 2 damage. 2 immediate structure damage as well, down to 4 for having been hit by a railgun. And that'll spin him again, because it's also kinetic. And that marks this heavy done. Having lost 25% of his structure, he's going to head in with his melee weapon, going 8 now, and he can wrap around. He's fast enough. He gets to go 10 actually, and he just gets to run around into the rear of this heavy, who's too slow to outmaneuver him. So you have to imagine that while he's firing, this is all some of his, he's charging in, and he's going to slam into him. His damage rating for a smash attack is 4. He has a melee weapon, and on a medium, melee weapon gives him 1 additional die, and he made a move over order previous. He's 1 size bigger, so he gets to save on a 3. 1, 2. He's saving on a 2, but he rolled 1s. So that's going to be 3 damage, and he'll go down to 7. Plus 2 dice for attacking in the rear. Pass those saves. It's just the light remaining, and he's not super excited about much, but he's going to try and shoot this guy. Double, now this will redline him. He has double particle weapons, which give 2 dice each. So the first one, now he's a light, so he saves on 4s, goes to 3s. Passes both. The second one passes both. And then the missile, 2 dice. Oh, he fails the damage there. So the light loses 1 and a 5. It's the medium or the heavy. I think we go with, sorry, the light or the medium here. They're holding most of these zones. I think you want to double back. Are you happy where you are? You're out of range. So I think you just move to get some cover. And then shoot the ultra heavy. Autocannon saving on 6s, but he has optic camo and he's far away. So back up to 5s. Nope, fails twice. And that'll blow off 2 armor, down to 10 on the ultra heavy. He's only got that range, so he's done. Now because the yellow team has unactivated models, the red team can attempt a red line. It's only a single order though, and it has to be something in line of sight. So I think the ultra heavy, unfortunately, I think he's been snuck behind. He has. He can't actually see this guy. So he's going to have to fight this guy at range. 6 dice autocannon shot, goes to 5 for being obscured. He saves on 2s though because of his optic camo. Laughs. Tries again. Laughs. And the submunitions are out of range. And that's him redline. Now he has a heavy reactor. So on a 4+, he ignores the redline damage. He does. Team Yellow still has something up their sleeve. Instead of activating the medium, they are going to choose to drop the Hammer of Dawn from their target lock over to here. Mass Driver. It's 6 kinetic. Saving on, it counts as being from the opponent's table edge, so it's over 12, so he will get his optic camo against it. So saving on 5s. He saves 4 of them, but manages to take 2 damage, down to 8 on his armor, and he will get spun, 45 away from the table edge. Red line again, but he's in behind, so he can't actually do much here except for move. I think that's what he's going to do, though. He's actually going to push himself up against this wall, because it'll get him in the zone he wants to be in. And also keep him from getting attacked in the rear again. Lines, that's the last possible red line for this team, 4+. He ignores the damage because he also has a heavy reactor. Just this medium remaining. Well, time to start putting pressure on this ultra heavy. He wants to stay in this, no, he will get zoned out by that heavy anyway. So it's really about, I think, moving to try and take this quarter. 50, 20, they'd be tied. So heat on this one and this one. Yeah, so to tie this up actually makes sense. So to move 10, get into this zone. No one holds this one, and then yellow holds these 2, and they'll score over red. So firing his howitzer, dice, kinetic, doesn't pass any of the saves, so gets spun 45 again. And takes 3 damage, down to 5 armor remaining. It's yellow team all done. And that's going to mean it's a scoring turn for yellow, because they managed to hold 1, 2 zones. This medium taking it against the light, to the red zone only holding 1. Victory token for the yellow commander. Round 3, initiative to see who is going first. Looks like it will be red team, who needed it. That puts red team online. Yeah, you're gonna regret that. So making a move order. Does he push? I think he pushes back slightly, actually, to get that optic camo going again. So he's going to go his 6 backwards and just shuffle back, keeping this guy in the open. And that's just autocannons and sub. I mean, actually, he could engage first, then do that. You know, that's what he'll do. He'll stay where he is because he has line of sight. And this way he gets to use the submunitions as well. So starting with the submunitions, or actually starting with the autocannon. First autocannon, 6 dice. He's a medium, so he saves on 4s. Saves all but 2. Howitzer medium has got, oh geez, he's hurt. He is now down to 1 left. And he gets pivoted. And I think he actually fires his submunitions to try and finish him off. Because submunitions for a ultra heavy at that range throw 4 dice. And he fails. I think it gets destroyed. His secondary system could fire over here with his other autocannon. So it's 6 dice. He can see the whole thing, but it's a secondary shot, so down to 5. Saving on 3s, so 1 damage on this light. He's down to 4. And then his second order, he's going to back up his 6. You know what? No, he's going to just get against the wall here, I think. And be like, come at me, bro. All right, Yellow gets to go. I think we're going over here. His armor's pretty hurt, and he has double shot cannons, and a rotary cannon. I think he just fires his double shot cannons. They have 8 dice at this range, and that heavy is -1 to hit. I think the heavy wants to return fire. To reroll 1s here because he doesn't want to die, and double shot cannons and a rotary cannon could put out a lot of damage here. So he's rerolling 1s, but he's only saving on 6s. Oh, not that it matters, apparently, because he rolls 4 6s. So that's 4 failures, no 1s to reroll. They have damage, so he takes 2, puts him down to 5. Second shot cannon with light and frag again. He gets to reroll the 1s at least. Uh-oh. Nothing, so 4 dice. 8 halves to 4, which means he's down to 1 armor remaining. And then the rotary cannon goes off, 7 dice without frag. So he's saving these ones on 5s, rerolling 1s. Ooh, it's a good thing he's rerolling 1s. Now, okay. So having this for light, 2 more damage, which blows off the loss of his armor and starts banging on his structure. He's going to get to return fire. He'll be activated after this, but he gets to return fire before his second order. So it's until the culmination of the order. Now, he's not crippled yet, so he still has all of his full dice, and it's 2 autocannons, first one on 5s, on 4s he saves them, so 2. He has, not that much health left. Gets spun, but does he survive the second salvo? He does not, takes 3 more, and gets destroyed. Activated now, which means only redlining activations from now on. Well, it feels like discretion's a better part of valor. This little guy's just gonna go his 8, 12, and get a line of fire this big fella. Concede the quarter. Blast this light in the back with, I think it's double shotguns. Yep. So +1 to save for being light, -1 for being fragged, and +2 dice makes it 8 dice on 4s. 3 halves down to 1 damage, so he'll go down to 5 armor left. The second shot, oh wait, was that with my +2 dice? 6 + 2, yes it was. Again, on 4s. Ooh, not great. 5, halve down to 2 more damage. So he's got 3 armor remaining. He's all done. Just the light remains, and he can either trade sniper shots or go somewhere relevant. They own these 2 quarters right now. He wants to contest a quarter, so I think he jumps back, going 10, because he can make a jump move. And then fires on this guy in the flank. He's got his energy weapon, and that'll redline him though, because he's firing his energy weapon. 2 saves. He passes both. 3 saves actually, because it's in the flank. And then second energy weapon, he's fine again. And then missile pod, which is 2 + 1 for being in the flank. Saves them all. This guy is duck diving and dodging. So Team Yellow can't see much, except he can see this heavy, and it's time to drop the hammer at dawn again, the next mass driver. So now, interestingly, it comes from this direction. So it's going to get +2 dice, because he's not facing it. So it goes from 6 to 8 dice. Mass driver lands. He saves on 5s. He's a heavy. He manages to save 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. He takes 4 damage and goes down to 5 left. And he gets kinetically spun. Like so. Either of these sides could redline. Doesn't have a line of fire to anybody, so the Ultra Heavy's not going to be able to. So I guess the Heavy goes. And he tries to punish this little guy with his autocannons. So obscuring terrain in the way. 5 dice normally goes to 4. He's not... oh, he is crippled, actually, because he's at half. Which means he's -1 dice, so back down to 3. Does he dodge it? 3+. No, takes a point of damage. And he is this light, so he's down to 3 armor left. And that'll spin him to get a flank shot now, which will put him back up to 4 dice for the second autocannon, which he fails 2 of. Whoa, down to 1 armor remaining. And gets spun again. And then the railgun is 1 die. Goes to, so minimum 1 die for being crippled. +1 for the flank shot, and then -1 again for the obstruction. But he passes the save. Reactor, does he take redlining damage? He does not. Pretty much, so if they avoid the Ultra Heavy, that pretty much taps out the capabilities over here. So I think you want to fire your autocannon. But you want to stay where you can see somebody. You don't have a lot of good shots here, because everybody's kind of... I guess you could move in behind. So you'll go 12. And this is the final shot of the turn anyway. So running over to here, and then flank shotting your autocannon into the Ultra Heavy. This goes to 4 for the flank. He's exposed. He makes no saves. And so he pivots 45 away. And it goes down to 1 armor remaining. So scoring end of the round, tied, but now red holds 2, and yellow holds 1. So red scores a victory point. It's tied 1-1 going into turn 4. Really wants initiative here. They have 1 shot remaining with their mass driver, which would be really tasty into this Ultra Heavy right now, and actually could totally finish this guy off. So let's see who's going first. Initiative, tied, re-rolling. Ah, yellow gets to go first. Fortunately, this target designator can't see him, so we can't drop the hammer down on him because he doesn't have line of fire. He got spun around from those autocans, which was very, very convenient. So I think the shot goes over here. It's only a flank shot, so it's the final mass driver arriving from the sky. And it's 7 dice because it's from the flank from the approach edge. So saving, he does get his optics, so he saves on 5s. But he takes 1, 2, 3 damage. It'll pivot him 45 away again. 1 armor, and that means he takes 2 damage to the structure, and this triggers his special save against structure damage for being ultra heavy. So on a 4+, he gets to ignore those damages. Nope, it still takes him. He's nobody activated because that was an off-table asset firing for the last time this game. It feels a little too tasty to miss, and we really need him to not spin around and finish off my heavy. So I think my heavy goes. He's crippled again. So does he want to move into range? No, he just wants to get to be not obscured. He's going to move up like so and make sure he's in rear arc. Or on this light over here. So it's a 4 dice autocan shot now because he's crippled, but +2 for being in the rear. And that means he has to evade on 3s. Passes it all. Second time again. No, he takes 4 damage this time. He was holding in there. 4 damage means he blows off the last of his armor, and then 3 damage to the structure. Now, because he's a light, there's a chance that those 3 points actually kill him, because on a 4, 5, or 6, they do additional points of damage. They do 3 extra points of damage, and his systems just implode. That's this heavy activated. It's just this light remaining. He doesn't have a lot he can do, but he's going to take a shot into the rear of the Ultra Heavy with his autocannon again. While he's got a rear shot, might as well. 5 dice to evade. His optic camo means he saves on 5s. Doesn't save any and takes 5 points of damage. Whoa. Now the question is, does he shrug any of it for his super heavy, his backup systems engaging? He shrugs 3. So he goes back up to 8. Then as his second move, he's just going to zip back behind here. Get a line of fire. The Ultra Heavy doesn't have a lot he can do. He's just going to walk up 6 and menacingly contest this zone. And the light is going to jump jet back on top and be done. Red's going to score pretty convincingly this round to make it 2-1. We go into the final turn of the game, round 5. Yellow's not doing great, but he has optic camouflage. So there's a chance he can actually, kill something here. Let's see who's going first. Yellow kind of wants red to go first, and they do. Just taking a walk. Heading over to here, hull down. Going as 8 for being heavy. He'll just wait for this guy to come out if he does. But he's taking the zone. And yellow now has to go, so ducking out to just see through the obstruction, the ultra heavy. 3 dice normally, goes to 2. Does he save him on 5s? Whoops, saves 1. Doesn't save the other, so he gets pivoted slightly. His backup systems shrug the damage? They do. That activates this little guy. Well, he's going to spend the order to lock on, and that means he can ignore the optic camouflage over here. He, however, does not ignore cover, so his 6 dice drop down to 5 for the obstruction. Even on 3s, saves it all. Second autocannon, tries again. Takes 1 point of damage, it gets pivoted. His armor down to 5. And that order is all resolved. So redlining over here to fire back. He'll just fire his sweet autocannon. It's just 2 dice, saving on 5s because of his optics. He saves 1 and takes 1, but does he shrug it from his redundant systems? He does. Yeah, pivoted though. It's just the light who will just sit up on this rock menacingly and score. So end of round 5, another point for red, and ends up being 3-1 red overall over the course of the game. Convincing. The Ultra Heavy actually managed to make his points back this game, and it was actually a lot closer damage-wise than it looked. The 2 remaining, the light and the heavy remaining on red, are smoking. This guy's just about dead, almost losing his fight with that medium or the paramediums that he went in with, and then getting shot in the back by a light. This guy taking some shotgun blasts and almost not making it either. Go, another look at Heavy Duty. This is the 3rd draft now of the 0 edition rules. And if you want to check it out, you can join the Facebook group, and you can see the rules, which are available currently to my patrons. So I got another playthrough of Heavy Duty, and this is the version 3 of the 0 edition of the rules, and I got to see in action some of my sort of core mechanic changes. First thoughts after the playtest from me, and of course I want to hear yours in the comments, that the 45-degree turn for the kinetic weapons certainly felt more appropriate, the bang bang of getting knocked back, as opposed to just spinning around almost all the way with every single hit. I liked the redefinition of things like the orbital assets and how much they came into play, especially as the lighter team started to take damage. They were calling in the mass driver from space to slam into the big heavy HEVs. And then I did like the damage reduction and the extra damage in the light and the ultra heavy, but I feel like I need to tweak it a little bit. Especially the wording. This is one of the things that comes out in playtesting. When I realized what I was doing, I feel like it needs to be, one, adjusted to like a 1/3 chance instead of a 50-50. 50-50 seems a little bit too good. And I think I want the active player, doing it, or I want the reactive player doing it? I think for the beneficial effect, I want the active or the reactive player doing it. For the off-putting effect, I want the active player doing it. So I think that what happens is the active player attempts to maybe make both dice rolls a 5+, and the active player attempts to collapse critical systems on a 5+, and the reactive player attempts to engage their like fire suppression, whatever we call it, the emergency rewrite or whatever, to offset damage. So it doesn't really change anything mechanically for what's happening, but when you play with something, you get to see how it changes how it feels to happen. And what I think I want to have happen here is that the person taking the damage tries to offset it. The person inflicting the damage tries to roll to see if they get extra damage based on the fact they're targeting like a more vulnerable system on the lights and stuff like that. So this is what playtesting does. It lets you can write almost all day long when you write rules, but until you actually physically do them, you don't get to see how it makes the players feel while they're doing it and what it engages them on. So I'm going to tweak that one a little bit, not just the ratio, but also how it's worded and who's doing it, because I feel like that's going to be an important part of the mechanics as well. But it's a good fix for making the Ultra Heavy more durable, as well as making the light a little bit more vulnerable. And I think it just needs to be tweaked just slightly. It happened a little bit too often, but I'll play a couple more games in between now and then before I finalize my thoughts on that. Anyway, as usual, we'll discuss. Patrons, you can probably already have been checking out these rules on Patreon, and of course, talking about it in the Playtesters Only group. And then we will have more of this probably next month. I bring up the next edition of the rules, but you'll get to see probably more rapid updates if you're one of those playtesters. So, big thanks for watching. I will see you for another first look in the future. So, I'm Ash. Happy gaming. Hey there, I hope you enjoyed that video. There are tons of other games already recorded for you to watch. Click over to my channel page if you haven't already, and have a look through the dozens of playlists full of videos. I guarantee you'll discover a game you haven't seen played before. I put out new videos 7 days a week, and every day is themed to a different genre as I continue to explore the wider world of gaming. Of course, none of that's possible without you, the viewer, so click a like and subscribe if you'd like to stay on top of what's happening here daily. My 2 kids and I are massively grateful to be able to have the flexibility of this job so I can always maximize my time with them. If you want to support me continuing to put out this content, it's only possible because of my amazing backers on Patreon who support the studio, equipment, and model cost, as well as being how I make the bulk of my living. You can also help out by buying a t-shirt through Spreadshirt, a measuring gauge or widget from Death Ray Designs, or buying one of my games and supplements like Last Days, Game of Wolves, and Blaster. As a way of showing my appreciation, patrons get early access to new games and supplements that I write throughout the course of the year. Huge thanks for watching, it really does help out, and happy gaming.